Hi everyone, and welcome to the BDFM Investment Dialogues, Taking Control, How to Use ETFs to Build Your Wealth in association with the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. My name is Nastasia Arendse and I will be your host for today's session. So the conversation we're going to have today ultimately builds on two previous events that we had earlier this month. The first one, we looked at the ever-changing role of financial advisors and the growth of ETFs. And in our second installment, we brought you equipping financial advisors, taking a closer look at ETFs. So this conversation ultimately is for you. This is where you can ask as many questions as you like. Anything that has been burning through your mind over the years around ETFs, that is what this conversation is about. We've got a fantastic panel with us, Narina from ETF SA, and of course, Weimar Ferreira from Standard Index Investments, really hitting the mark there, not forgetting Robert, who is joining us virtually from F&B Stockbroking and Portfolio Management. So the financial uncertainty that was brought on by COVID-19 has brought on to the fore the importance of having to take stock and reevaluate our financial position and actually building a long-term plan. Opening up conversations like this on investments allows you to be able to take the tools that we discuss and see where you are when it comes to your financial journey, because after all, it is a journey. And you'll see as the conversation unfolds, you'll get to understand the beauty of ETFs and the role they've played in the financial industry. And we've got a fantastic panel to have that conversation with. Before we actually unpack the ETF industry, the benefits of investing in an ETF, I'd like to welcome to the stage Itumeleng Monale, who's the Chief Operating Officer at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, and she's here to give you the official welcome. Itumeleng, the virtual platform's yours. It's all about helping you achieve your long-term financial goals, and we'll certainly be doing that. We do see some comments and questions that are coming through. Remember, keep them going. As the conversation unfolds, we'll try to answer as many questions as possible and probably even provide a platform to answer any questions that we do miss, because we want you to be able to reach your financial goals. Itumeleng mentioned something that was quite important, and that was about the biases that we all establish around, our finances, around money. Money can be such a sensitive topic, especially when you bring in the idea of investing. Robert, I'm going to start off here with you. I mean, when you think about this period that we're in, which is, I suppose, crazy for lack of a better description, what have you learned about your clients when it comes to their behavior, especially when it's, when we're panicking and it almost feels as though the world is coming to an end? And I suppose even if you weren't in that situation where you were caught in inflexible products, it's forced you to go back to your financial advisor and re-look at the terms and conditions that are in the document you may have signed 5 or 10 years ago to still make sure that you understood everything that you signed in case things change for you. Let's come to you, Weimar. Is the situation still the same as Narina just alluded to? Yep. And we'll talk about whether it is possible to do it on your own, especially when it comes to ETFs, or whether you should actually outsource and get a financial advisor, and also what to do with the other pieces of information that may be lurking around the internet. But let's go back to basic before we even get to that. Let's unpack what an ETF is, Narina. And I know, and we've had this conversation before, you have an amazing acronym for people to remember what an ETF actually is. So what is an ETF? Remember to keep those questions coming as this conversation unfolds. We will answer those questions that you want answered. Robert, let's come to you in terms of, you were mentioning how many ETF products there are out there and ETNs as well. And I suppose the question then becomes, what makes a good ETF? Is that even a logical question for one to be asking? Robert, I'm going to come to you for this particular question. And I remember in the beginning of our discussion, you said it's about understanding your why. And I'm not sure whether you'll be able to tackle this one. It reads, what are some good ETFs to buy for one's grandchildren in today's market? Weimar, I'm going to come to you because, Chief Operating Officer at Standard Index Investments. So I figured this one you might be able to answer. It says, how are life insurers and banks able to offer even lower priced synthetic index tracking investments?
Learn and then apply. Take action and just do it.
And certainly action will be taken today. Thank you so much for joining us. Fantastic panel. Thank you once again to Robert van Eyden, the CEO of F&B Stockbroking and Portfolio Management, joining us virtually. Thank you to Narina Visser, who is the director and co-owner of ETF SA. And of course, next to me is Weimero Ferreira, who's the Chief Operating Officer at Stanlib Index Investments. Do remember, you can watch the full discussion after the show and also catch up on the last 2 events that we had earlier this month. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, goodbye.